Hello, everybody. It is Coach Malcolm here, and today I am going to be showing you guys my absolute, undisputable favorite chess game of all time, and quite possibly, no matter how many games are played for the rest of the history of time, this will always be my favorite chess game of all time because I think it's a super cool chess game, but I also have a little bit of a story behind it that I wanted to share. So, this game was played between Robert James Fischer, who you guys may know better as Bobby Fischer, right? This guy right here, past world champion, one of the greatest chess players of all time, incredibly famous guy, and he was facing off against someone that you guys might not know as well, Paul Carey's, also a very famous chess player. All right, so this is a game. Bobby Fischer is playing black. Paul Keres is playing white. They're both grandmasters. Both incredibly great players. But it's a super interesting game. So we're gonna go into it, have a little commentary, look at the important stuff. We can skip forward to the ending, but that's not sort of the most important thing we're trying to get out of this game. So, anyways, this game starts off with Keres plays e4. Bobby Fischer returns with c5. Right, this is a classic Sicilian setup. Knight f3, d6, d4. This is all pretty normal stuff, guys. C takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6. So attacking this pawn on e4. So white guards that knight c3, right? Just defending e4. These are normal developing moves. This is just theoretical opening stuff. Black plays a6 here, so a lot of you guys may be more familiar with this move, g6, and then fianchettoing the bishop, and then black castles. Kingside, this is the Sicilian dragon. a6 is the Najdorf, which is a different opening within the Sicilian. So here, Keres plays bishop g5, anticipating this e6 move of the Najdorf, creating a pin. And here, Keres plays f4 after e6, supporting this bishop, supporting this e5 square in the center. Supporting this bishop, also creating space for their next move, which we'll see. Bishop e7, breaking this pin. And here, Keres plays queen f3. So a little bit of a bolder move. Not exactly, though. This queen isn't in a lot of trouble, but you're bringing the queen out relatively early. But queen f3 is a great square. F4 allows it to not be sort of cramping up this style. Now this f-pawn is out attacking e5. Well, not attacking e5, but just having influence in the center. It is attacking e5. Guarding this bishop if need be. This queen supports e4, and we're also getting her out of the way so we can queenside castle. So it's a great developing move for that queen. Here, black plays queen c7, similarly developing the queen, eyeing down this b7 square because the queen on f3 may have some tricks there, and we are actually going to get to some of those soon. But queen c7, castles queenside like we talked about, right? White has a great position here. Almost all the minor pieces are active except for this bishop on f1. The queen's on a great square. This rook has not an open file, but just great. It's a well-placed rook, right? It's in the center of the board. The open file may open up later if this d-pawn was traded off or got out of the way and this knight moved to maybe b3 or something. White has great development here. Black played knight d7, right, guarding this knight on f6, also guarding, developing their knight. Bishop e2, a bit of a tricky move, but we're going to see sort of what Keres' plan is and how it plays out. This move is super, what we would call maybe like a low-key move, right? It's not exactly clear what it is yet. This bishop doesn't look like it has a lot of a future. But if we look at the other moves for this bishop, c4, the queen is attacking c4, b5, we obviously can't go to b5 because of the pawn. We don't want to leave our bishop there. We want to get this other rook involved and develop all our pieces. And d3, we're kind of blocking in this rook. This e4 pawn is already very well guarded by the queen and the knight. So e2 actually is sort of the most reasonable square, even though it does have other ideas that we'll see in a second. Black played b5 here. Okay, so they're trying to get their bishop to b7, get a little more development going. And here, first white takes on f6, bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, and white plays e5, right? Which looks like a pretty normal double attack that will win white some material. They're attacking this rook on a8. They're attacking this knight on f6. We've got two pieces. It's a double attack. You could even call it a fork if you wanted to, but I wouldn't call it a fork because you have your pawn attacking one piece, your queen attacking another. So this really is a classic double attack. So it looks like we're going to win material. One way black could try and get out of it that doesn't work well is knight d5, but here it just looks like white could take. Now this queen is super centralized. This file pretty much almost definitely is going to open up soon. This knight has ideas to come into c6. This is not good for black. Much better idea is bishop b7, okay? Supported by the queen. That's another use of queen c7. Black just played b5. Fischer just played b5. And now we're attacking the queen. So if white did decide to play this absolutely crazy move, pawn takes f6, then they would just lose the queen on f3. But what is even crazier than talking about that is the fact that Grandmaster Paul Keres actually played this move e takes f6. Okay, I know it is absolutely bonkers, but he took on f6, so let's take a look at it. So we're going to keep track of the material. Right now, Carries is up a piece, right? He just took the piece. Obviously, Bobby Fischer is going to take this queen on f3. So now it is a piece for a queen. So here, Carries takes back. Another great reason, right? This was the kind of low-key thing I was hinting at. This bishop on e2 is going to guard this queen if this bishop b7 threat pops up, and Carries wants to do this sacrifice. Bishop takes b3, so now we've got 2 pieces for a queen. This rook is being attacked, so let us say black decided to save their rook, right? That seems like the most reasonable move. I think the computer also believes the best move is rook c8, saving that rook. Here, well, how can white get an extra tempo check in this position? Take a second or two, pause that video if you need to. All right, white can play bishop c6, right? Supported by this knight. This king has to move. I think f8 is the best move. Pawn takes e7. And now here, let's do a recheck on the material. We've gotten a third piece. So the rooks are even, right? Both sides have double rooks. But now white has 3 pieces for a queen. And if you add up the material, that is 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9, which is the same value as a queen. So are they the exact same thing? No, of course not, right? This is 3 pieces. They're completely different for a queen. But in this case, white is in good shape. I would even say white is in great shape, okay? They've got 3 pieces. They have a lot of play. They're much more developed. They're much more active. After queen e7, this rook is going to come into e1. We've got some open files ideas. We have ideas with pinning these pawns. We have this rook on h8 is pretty well trapped in. If king takes e7, we have even stronger threats after knight e1. We're threatening forks like knight d5. If black plays a nothing move here like h5, I meant to play h6, but whatever. Knight d5 is already just going to completely win the game here. Obviously Bobby Fischer wouldn't play h5. That's just to show the ideas. But here, queen takes e7, I believe is the best move. Rook e1, this is, in my opinion, a great position for white. So they are down 1 point if we completely add it up. We've got 3 pawns, 3 pawns, 3 pawns, 3 pawns over here, and now we have an extra black pawn. So black is up a pawn, but I think that this influence of these pieces, the strength of these pieces, and this rook activity versus this, particularly this rook on h8, makes white have a lot of compensation and even a better position here. So absolutely crazy queen sacrifice, right? Sacking this queen on f3, but you are getting 3 pieces out of it. But not pawn takes e7, right? This bishop c6 move first. But in all honesty, this is not exactly what happened in the game. e5 was played. Pawn takes f6 was played. I was not lying about that. Bishop takes f3. Bishop takes f3. All of this happened in the game. Carries and Fischer played this out. But in this position, Bobby Fischer decided instead to play bishop takes f6, which kind of looks like a wild move, right? You could lose your piece, but instead you're deciding to lose your rook. So Carries took on a8. But here, how can Bobby Fischer, in this position, we've got a rook for a rook, a bishop for a bishop, and 2 knights for a rook, which if you add that up, that is much more, well, not much more, but it is more and worth more than a queen, definitely more powerful than a queen. But how can black win some material back right here? This is a trap tactic. Take a second or two, pause that video. All right, so Fischer played this move d5, trapping this bishop in, right? There's no escape. So Carries just immediately took on d5. Fischer took on d4. We got some trades coming in. But here in this position, now if we reanalyze, it is still 9 to 9. There's a pawn, a rook, and a knight for this queen, 9 to 9. But this rook and knight combo is arguably nowhere near as strong as that 3-piece combo, especially in that crazy position we had with that rook trapped on h8, those 2 rooks open on the files. Well, not completely open on the files, but influencing those files. They were great files to be on. So much different. So this is what happened in the game. We can speed through a little bit. This isn't really the most important part. They continued playing the game, c3 to support this rook. A whole bunch. They ended up trading off another pair of rooks right here. And then we have, since the material is getting lower, those double rooks would have been useful for white. It's much harder for white to play. And Fischer, being the world champ, I'm not sure if he was a world champion when this game was played, but being the world champion caliber player that he was able to win this game. Carries here had to sacrifice the knight. And here, Bobby Fischer had checkmate. But this isn't really the main point of the game that I wanted to get at. The main point of the game that I wanted to get at was this super cool 3 pieces for queen sacrifice that we saw here after this rook c8 move that Carries, of course, calculated out. Super cool. But what I think, maybe not cooler because I wasn't the one who thought of this, but what happened was when I was a chess player in 5th grade, okay? I was playing in the K5, I believe. I was at Nationals. I was playing the K5 championship section, I think, and it was the very first round. I'm going to show you guys a picture of young Coach Malcolm. I'm not sure this is 5th grade, but this is the picture I got. We're going to go super quick. If you can pause it, good for you. But this is young Coach Malcolm right here. All right, enough of that. Anyways, it is 5th grade. I'm playing in Nationals. It is the first round. I think I was rated about 1,500 or so, and I am playing in 1,800, I believe. So they're about 300 rating points higher, and we start off our game. And when I was, if you guys don't know yet, when I was in elementary school, I went to PS 139, so Coach West was my coach, and me and Coach West had looked at this game way before Nationals, and we had loved this game. We thought it was super cool, that 3 pieces for a queen. So I had absolutely memorized this game by this point. So I started my game normally. I played e4. My opponent played c5, and as we kept playing the moves, I realized we were almost exactly. There were some different moves that were happening, some waiting moves, like after I played bishop g5, I think my opponent played maybe an h6 first. There were some waiting moves, but we were playing out almost to the exact same moves, this incredibly famous 3 pieces for a queen, Bobby Fischer versus Paul Carey's game. And it went all the way to this point, to the point where I literally surprised my opponent. The look on their face was priceless. They were so shocked. I played this move e5 here. No, I played e5, bishop b7, and then I took on f7. They were so shocked. I sacrificed my queen. My opponent, in this case, did, I believe, move their rook. I think they played rook c8. I can't remember, guys. It was a super long time ago, and I wish I could find the game. I'm going to look for it 100%. If I do, I will make another follow-up video, of course. Rook c8, I ended up, I believe, playing my bishop c7, taking this extra piece right here, and I indeed won this game when I was playing a player 300 points higher. I not copied, I had the game memorized, and there were, like I said, some differences that happened in the game. By this point, I was on my own 100% because Bobby Fischer, like we saw, played bishop takes f6 instead of moving rook c8. I was on my own, but this 3-piece advantage was so useful. It was incredibly helpful. I ended up having sort of a trick later where my opponent's queen, I don't know how I'll set it up, but my opponent's queen was on c4. I brought my rook over up to e4, had some crazy discovery with my knight. They resigned. It was absolutely insane, right, that we got to play out such a famous game. I'm not even sure my opponent knew. I doubt they did because they looked pretty surprised. But that is not only the story of this super famous Bobby Fischer Paul Carey's game, but also the reasoning why this is my absolute favorite chess game in history, in all of history that will occur, because I got to play it out myself in a real life tournament game and not just a regular tournament game in the National Chess Championships. So that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed the game, the tactics, and the following story. But I will see you guys later.